Hey guys, Denis Kozhar here. In this video I want to show you how you can use some kind of PBR textures or materials and how they work in Sorona Renderer. You can use any kind of textures that you wish. Let's see the easy example on the textures from Texture Heaven. Here we go to the textures and we can choose some kind of material that we wish. For example, let's take plaster and take maybe this. When you download it, be sure that you take the full potential of your texture. It is not a good thing to download 8K texture for a thing that will be on the background or doesn't appear in this resolution. So, for example, with this wall, it's maybe 2K will be more than enough, and I will use JPEG because it's much less weight and much less RAM will use. So we create Sorona MTL. Then when you extract download archive, just drag and drop the textures here, and because they doesn't drag all by one time, you need to drag them one by one. So you need to understand what kind of textures do you need and you will use or not. For example, let's take this wall, assign this Sorona material on it. Then we need to add this wall to the exclude list, and then we can assign this diffuse texture. It's called diff as a diffuse. Then we can press show shaded material map in viewport, and now nothing happens, nothing appears. It's all because we doesn't have any UV texture. Let's add UVW map, change to box and make it 500 by 500 and 500. I create all these numbers the same because we have square map and the sizes are all equal. Next, if we have the nice result or you wish change the sizes, you can do it. Next, after you're happy with the size of your texture, you need to understand how the other textures work. So for example, we have bump normal map and we have displace map. They both give some kind of the same result. They change geometry, but they works in a different way. Bump is only some kind of fake changing of the geometry. Displacement really extrude some kind of geometry and change it. So you need to have more polygons, more geometry, so the displacement work properly. And you also have to sometimes change displacement screen size to maybe lower values like 2 pixels if you wish more detailed, but 3 works well for the most cases. So let's try and see what's going on here. We can start interactive render and see that our texture works fine, but it doesn't have any details in glossy or reflections and no details in the bump. Let's add them. I will take a look here. So now to create auto setup more clearly the bump, I advise you to change the diffuse to 0, change the reflection to 1, so it have some reflections, and from now we can add Sorona normal map connected to the bump. Then you need to add gamma input or you will have this kind of error. So when you add it, it will not shows up, and you can change the bump here or you can change it here in the bump slot. I will change it to 0, 1, so we have not so big bumpy look. After that, we can unconnect and see how the displacement works. Here we need to change the displacement level, max and minimum. We can change only the maximum to to, for example, 5 to get more displacement, or we can also add some minus values to make it more visible. But for me, I doesn't want to use example bump with the displacement in this case, so I will delete this displacement and keep only the bump. It's all up to you. You doesn't need to use all the maps that you get from the collection. Then we can see how the reflection will works, and if you wish, you can change the color to make it not so glossy. For example, if I will add color correction, I can change it to more dark value like this, and it will give me more rough reflections. Or I can make it more brighter and get more glossy reflection. I will use something like 80, for example. And next we can add the bump and then turn on the diffuse. So by separating them from each other, we can get more clear understanding of how the textures, how the different aspect works. And this is it. This is how you can set up PBR materials. If you wish, you can add Corona Mix map to mix the diffuse with the Corona AO texture. Sorry, not Corona AO, but the ambient occlusion texture from the collection. Here you just change mix operation to multiply or something else, and change the mix amount until you get the result that you wish. You can also sometimes use the reflection color for the materials, like if we will see this, where you have different type of materials, ground and grass. So you have this specular map that will go here in the reflection color. And this is it. Just try and make some tests and experiments. It's all pretty easy. You just need to have the basic understanding of how material works. So I strongly advise you to watch my Corona technical course, Unlock the Corona Render. And if you have any question, please ask me, and see you next time. Bye.